This is a yellowy orange tomato. It is now independent. This tomato no longer needs the plant to ripen. It does not need the plant to ripen, even if it was more yellow than this. We'll explain it, so here we go. Morning. I'm gonna throw together a video today. We're gonna talk about when to harvest your tomatoes, because there's so many different answers here depending on who you are, whether you're a homeowner, small farm, commercial grower. But I'll explain it so you understand better, because there's a lot of misunderstanding out there about when to harvest tomatoes. Next, people are going to ask, and I get this all the time on TikTok and Instagram, how are you getting so many tomatoes per plant? And I'll say this again, if you haven't watched, we only use Dirt Booster Plus compost piles. We make these compost piles. We've done it for 6 years, and we put it in the soil and then we top dress. So make sure you get some Dirt Booster Plus. You can also put Dirt Booster Plus directly on your lawn, which I did out here 2 days ago, and I sprayed it with Lawn Alive, and it's looking fantastic, by the way. So that's how we do it. Now, someone's gonna ask, well, don't you add, what about this product? What about earthworm castings? What about mealworm? What about, and it's no. If I send off, we test our compost every year, and if it has everything that your plant needs to an excess, don't add anything else. That includes biochar, by the way. If you don't know what biochar is, you're missing out on a world of good. So yes, Dirt Booster Plus, that's how we grow it. No fertilizers, haven't used fertilizers for over 5 years. This is all we do, so let's go up and I'll explain it. Morning. So today I'm gonna go over when you should pick your tomatoes, and I'm gonna dumb this down a little bit because it can get real technical. So I'm gonna keep it fairly simple. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this in terms of more so the small gardener or home gardener, because that's really, I think, what, if you're asking that question, that's probably who you are. If you're a commercial grower, obviously you know how to pick. If you're a small farm that's selling in a local market, you pick at a different time than a commercial grower. And a homeowner with a small garden will pick at a different time as well. We do ours a little bit differently. So I've got 3 cornfields. We are desperately dry, folks, and we're kind of racing. One of the reasons why I'm doing this video is because we finally supposedly have some rain coming in today. We have thunderstorms this afternoon, so I don't have to run my irrigation system if I get the rain. We really need rain here. So yesterday I did a video. We used our super compost pile. We top dressed all these tomatoes and pepper plants in here. They're doing fabulous, except for the disease, hot and humid. So we went from a month of just pouring rain every day to really high 93 to 98 degrees, really high humidity. I'm telling you, the disease has been an issue. Excuse the chickens, they're gonna be yelling at me because they think I'm gonna give them some tomatoes. We give away all of our produce. So I give it to neighbors, friends, family. We don't sell anything. And I have 52, 54, 56, 57 tomato plants. Each one of these, we already did a big harvest last week. I don't know if you saw that. But as an example, each one of these tomato plants, you can see it here, probably has, what, 12, 15 tomatoes? So do the math. Just right now, at this point in the season, sitting on the vines, I probably have over 600 tomatoes. Okay, so let me show you the different stages. So here's what happens. A tomato is green, sitting on the vine. Once it grows to the full green size, so let me find a green tomato. Here's a green tomato right here, okay? So that's when a commercial grower would pick that green tomato because it's really firm, it's hard, and it transports really well. If you try and pick and transport a red tomato, it's gonna be all sloshy, it's gonna get bruised. So the other day we came out here, we did a big harvest. People said, why do you put it in water? And that's because the tomatoes float and they don't bruise each other. So a commercial grower will come out here and pick the large green tomatoes. Now what they will do is they will put those green tomatoes in storage, and then they will gas them with ethylene gas. So ethylene gas, and let me just read this to you. Ethylene gas is a naturally occurring plant hormone and a colorless, flammable gas with a sweet odor. So basically all your fruits, once it hits the stage that it starts to produce that ethylene gas, it's going to ripen on its own and it can be harvested. Well, when does it do that? As soon as a tomato starts to flush. So let me give you an example. So here's a green tomato. Commercial grower would pick it. A farmer with a farm stand might pick them in this stage right here, because these are good. You can pick this right here. As soon as it starts to flush like this, take it inside, put it on the counter, and it'll turn dark red. A lot of homeowners really should pick right about this stage when you start to turn orange, but a lot of people want to pick it when it gets really dark red like this. But this also is really soft. Now there's a point that's called a breaker stage. And what's that breaker stage? The breaker stage is when basically the plant cuts off all the nutrients to the tomato, the majority of the nutrients. It knows the tomato is starting to turn. Let me find a breaker stage. Basically a breaker stage basically is when, right about here. So right about there, you could say that's a breaker stage. Turns a little bit yellow. The plant is going to cut off all the nutrients to that tomato, because the tomato is telling the plant, I'm done growing. Now I can ripen on my own. The one thing that will continue to be delivered to your tomatoes is water, because if you come in here and get a ton of rain, water is going to be absorbed and go all the way through that plant and go to your tomatoes. And here's the problem with that. And here's why we're doing a big harvest today. We've been really, really dry. These tomatoes are actually perfect right now. They're nice and firm. When you get excess water in a tomato, all it does is dilute the flavor. The skin starts to break. You've seen that. The skin starts to break, and you dilute the flavor. So instead of having 100% tomato flavor, if you add 10-20% water, you dilute it down. It's amazing how that works. As an example, before we got a hard rain, those cherry tomatoes, they were so potent when you ate them. After about 2 or 3 days after a real heavy rain, they tasted a little bit watery. So it's the same thing that happens in nature all the way. If you get a heavy rain, your tomatoes can burst and they'll get watered down. So you want to harvest before rain. That's what we're doing today. Rachel and her mom are going to come out here. I just texted her. She's not supposed to come out, but they're in the area. And I said, look, if you guys want to come out and do a big tomato harvest, come take everything that's ripe. Because if I have a full inch and a half, or 2 inches of rain tonight, these things, a lot of these are going to split and they're going to get diluted. Now, why do I leave so many red tomatoes on my vines? Because I have neighbors come over. You know, one neighbor will come over this day, another neighbor will come over another day, and in their mind, they want to pick a ripe tomato. So in the consumer's mind, a ripe tomato is a red tomato. They don't understand that picking an orange, a yellowy orange kind of tomato is actually better. It's firmer. You can put it on the shelf and it'll last, put it on the counter, it'll last for days. So when these people come over, they want to pick a red tomato. Now, if I will have wormholes, I will have splits, I will have problems, they all go to the chickens. Yesterday, I put in 25 tomatoes in the chicken coop down here, and they were all gone in 10 minutes. They love tomatoes. So I don't worry about that. So that's why I can leave tomatoes on my vine. Matter of fact, I put down a couple. Let me show you over here. Look at this poor boy over here. So that's a beaut. But like right here, that's a gorgeous tomato, isn't it? But look, see how it split? Got a little bit extra water and it split. Now it's still edible. You can still eat that. But that's a good chicken tomato for me. If you have splits in your tomatoes, a lot of times you'll get the little gnats that go in there, little flies. You'll get bug bites. You will also get, the other thing you risk is when you leave them on the vine too long, you risk sunburn. See this right here? That's actually a sunburn. So this tomato really should have been picked. A lot of these should. But like I said, I eat 1 tomato a day. My neighbors will come over and grab 6, 7, 8 tomatoes. It's just we have way too much, but we don't waste it. It goes to the chickens. All right. So the girls are gonna come out, follow me here soon. All right, we got zucchini today. We got zucchini. We got zucchini. We got zucchini, and then we got tomatoes. Ah! You dummies. Why do you always do that? Here. So they will come out here and just destroy this. Johnny loves the seeds. Here, buddy. I know you like the seeds. Spoiled. All right, you guys have fun. Okay, so we're out here getting some harvest before the rain. These are the red tomatoes they're taking. We have left the orange ones on the vine, but this is just, I mean, it's got to be 20, that's 60 pounds of tomatoes right there, and they're not done. Summary. If you go out to your garden and you want to have a tomato sandwich today or tonight, you want to have a salad, you're going to go out there and you're going to pick a fairly red tomato. However, if you go out to your garden and you start to see this, which is sort of an orange tomato, it's not really solid red, that's the perfect time to harvest it. Bring it inside, leave it on the counter, and it will turn red all by itself. It no longer needs the plant to ripen. It is now producing the ethylene gas. It's ready to go. This is it. It's not going to get any more nutrients. It's not going to get any more sugars. It's not going to get any sweeter. That is actually sort of psychological. That tomato right there is done production-wise. If you were a commercial grower, you'd pick them green before they actually start to blush and before they produce that gas. That way you can ship them from wherever you want all around the world in a crate, and then you can gas them. They actually gas them. So most of your store-bought tomatoes are actually gassed. Now, if it says vine ripen, when they're vine ripen, as soon as there's a yellow star at the bottom of that tomato, as soon as there's sort of a yellow star here, that is classified as a vine ripened tomato. I know that's confusing, but that means that that tomato is starting to produce the gas that it needs to ripen, and that is classified as a vine ripened tomato. It sounds deceiving, but that's what it is. It is not turning red on the vine. It is just to the point that it no longer needs the plant to ripen. So, again, the majority of you watching this are not out there selling your tomatoes, so you're going to pick your tomatoes either just a little bit more yellowy than this or this, especially before a rain. Because if you get a real heavy rain, you got a heavy rain coming in, this tomato right here is still going to be receiving water, and it's going to split and it's going to dilute in flavor. Go out and don't be afraid to harvest them. Once you start to see that orange, yellowy orange sort of, to go ahead and pick them. That's all they need. If you have any more questions, let me know. Drop it down below. Don't forget, get some Dirt Booster. Try it. Do some top dressing this year. People are amazed when they see the results of it, but we do it every year. That's it. I'm going to go inside the air conditioner. I'll talk to you later. Doc.